listening to the new WCEG Network on WCEGTalkRadio.com. Click your live screen tab or watch us live on your smart TV, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn under WCEG Network. I'm Wardell Richardson, your show host right here on WCEGWood The Hollywood of the South for the next hour. We are the worldwide community empowerment group where we speak life into the community. Subscribe to our free YouTube channel on WCEG Network. Like, follow, and connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, IG, and LinkedIn. And we also have some new platforms. I want you to really listen to this. We got plenty of new platforms for you to go to, easy to download. On iOS, Apple iPhones, and iPads, go to the Apple Store and search for WCEG Talk Radio. On Apple TV, search for WCEG Network TV. On your Apple Watch, search for WCEG Network. And on the Android mobile phones and tablets, go to Google Play and search for WCEG Talk Radio. Also, we are on 3 different TV channels: WCEG Talk, WCEG TV, and WCEG Music Videos. And we are as easy as saying, Alexa, play WCEG Talk Radio. And guess what? You're right on the show. So make sure if you have Alexa, you can easily go and tell Alexa to get on WCEG Talk Radio, and you're on live. And also, we're on Roku on the WCEG Network. We're on 12 podcast distribution platforms: Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Deezer, Catbox, Geosoven, I want to say it right, Geosoven, which is in India, and Good Pod. So make sure you go, if you recognize any of those podcasts, listen to us live on there. But make sure you go and download our apps. Make sure you go and check us out on YouTube. We are on Facebook Live. We're everywhere, so you cannot miss us. Make sure you go right now. Spread the word. Tell your friends to log in, because my guest on my show today has accolades out the yin yang. If you don't know, you better tell somebody. So without further ado, before I get to her, I want to just make sure that if you listen to my last show, I announced a PSA, and that PSA is, if you have Medicaid, you must go and re-register. If you have Medicaid, you must go and re-register. They are looking to cut off all Medicaid. They are looking to cut it off by, I think May 2024. So you got from now till May, I'm gonna say from now to April. You got till April to go and re-register, because y'all know how the government do. They'll wait till the last minute, send out emails or letters or whatnot, and the next thing you know, you scrambling trying to get re-registered and stuff. Go now. This is a public announcement. Go now, get re-registered, and you will be straight for 2024. Also, make sure you get ready to go do your local election. You know, a lot of us are registered to vote, but we only wait till the big elections. You must pay attention to what's going on in your community. You must go and vote at those local elections. They are very important. It's a matter of the changes in laws in just your community. When it comes to what's happening in courts, when it comes to what's happening out on the streets with officers, cops, or whatnot, you must go and vote and understand what's happening in your community. So those votes will be coming around in November. So make sure you prepare yourself for those local votes, okay? Get registered, make sure you are, so that you can vote locally. Don't just wait till the big presidential elections. Focus also on your communities. It's very, very important. Now, without further ado, I want to announce who everyone calls the radio lady. Her accolades are remarkable. I've been sitting here doing my research for her, and my eyes are just big as I don't know what, because she has soared through this industry like crazy. And her name is Marsha Washington George. Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine.
Well, first off, I know we got some awards coming up soon. So before we get to that, I want everybody to know a little bit of your history. So, how did you get into radio?
My major at University of South Florida was mass communications, but in the journalism aspect of it. And I was also raised by, well, not really like raised, but my uncle was one of the first Black disc jockeys in the United States. And that influence had a big impact on me. I stuck with technology and journalism. However, I went to a Jack the Rapper convention in the early 90s.
Right.
And I had this robotic
Those are
script.
legendary.
I was trying to sell a robotic script, and they told me to put that junk down and to tell their story. Because Ken Knight's niece, they said they would trust me in telling the history that other people took and used for their own personal gain and didn't tell the story with the truth behind it. So as a result of that, I became the radio lady, and I was able to come out with a book entitled Black Radio Winner Takes All, telling their story truthfully for the first time.
Wow. And how effective was that book? Because that book kind of launched a lot of things for you. Am I correct?
Yes. Well, as individuals in the industry started finding out about it, and historical places that such as the Auburn Avenue Research Library, they would reach out to me to start doing interviews and to come and meet people and tell the story. In 2003, I was at the Auburn Avenue Research Library with 4 of the WERD pioneers who are no longer with us now. And we were able to record that thanks to a gentleman by the name of Tom Roche, who was working on the Alley Pat documentary, one of Atlanta's great radio legends that my uncle Kenneth put into radio. And more and more people started inviting me to come and speak about it. And then Bernie Hayes out of St. Louis, Missouri called me one day and said, I'm going to start the National Black Radio Hall of Fame instead of just having it as St. Louis Black Radio Hall of Fame. Will you help me? And I agreed. And we started working on the National Black Radio Hall of Fame, in which he appointed me as second vice president of the national office and president of the Atlanta chapter.
And why did you feel like it was important for you to involve yourself with the Hall of Fame?
I wanted to still do the favor that I was asked to do by those pioneer disc jockeys back in the early 1990s. Because I became friends with a lot of them through that connection and kept in touch with them. In some cases, I flew to their cities and interviewed them in person. And it was just something that I saw was a need, because in the broadcasting industry for radio, there wasn't big acknowledgments. And it was time that there were acknowledgments. There is a National Radio Hall of Fame, but not many of us were getting selected to be in that particular award program. And when Bernie explained to me everything he wanted to do, and not make it anything personal against them, but to highlight what we've gone through, how doors were closed for us, how when WERD was purchased by a defunct bankruptcy country music station in 1949 and was told you can have the channel, you can have the call letters, but you can't work in the building that you just purchased the station from, because you are a Negro and we don't allow Negroes to use the bathrooms.
Oh, wow.
That's when they went to the Masonic Lodge and started WERD on Auburn Avenue.
Wow. And
all over a bathroom.
that's what I'm saying. Like, so all of that was just about a bathroom.
Yes.
Just that is unbelievable. It's funny because when you think about the history of our country and what Black people had to go through just to get to a certain level, I don't think people actually look at certain things like what we had to do in radio and what we had to do in the entertainment industry as a whole. We see everything else, but when it comes to this industry that we're in, I don't think people really look at that. What's the biggest change that you've seen so far when it comes to this industry?
The biggest change I've seen is more females are being added. At one time, it was a male-based.
Male dominant.
Yes. And more females of all nationalities have been given that opportunity now and able to be on the syndicated stations. Whereas one time you were the second hand, so to speak.
Right. Why do you think that was? Why do you think it was so hard for women to get that position?
Society wasn't ready. You have to look at, women will look at homemakers and so forth, but it ended up being a lot of women were head of households. So they wanted careers as well that paid well. And in this particular situation, it was the women that wanted to go into journalism and broadcasting. They offer you a degree in broadcasting in college. And then when you get out, you find out that I got to wait until this man let me in.
Yeah.
So a big thing has been for the women. Another issue I've seen that's a big change is technology.
Right.
Yeah. The technology went from local to a USA Today type of standpoint. And we're losing our community base, and that's why we're having some of the problems in the communities that we have, because the community base that we need to have out there has been lost to a certain degree.
And that's what I was going to ask you. What when it comes to the evolution of radio, do you think it's better, or do you think it's gotten more difficult?
It's only difficult because of what the young people are looking at today. They're using different technological tools. And
right.
Okay, you got your different technological tools, but turn to your local stations and see what they're talking about. Know about what's going on in your community, more than just pulling up something on Facebook or any social media platform.
Right.
History is important.
Yes, it is. It's very important. Now, you're also looking at opening a chapter here in Atlanta for the Hall of Fame, correct? In 2026, and you'll be the president?
No. Let me make a correction on that. We already have the Atlanta chapter. The Atlanta chapter started with Bernie Hayes in 2014. We had our first induction program in 2019. This is our fifth year with the induction program for this year. We have been busy with the Atlanta chapter working on starting a museum here in Atlanta. So that might be where you get that date from. It's the museum.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's going to be down on Martin Luther King at the Masonic Lodge, correct?
That's what we're looking at.
Gotcha. Okay, and you have received a very nice award from Obama, signed by Obama, the President Volunteer Service Award. Now, how was that? And how did you feel receiving that award?
Oh, wow. That was something. I was at an event where they gave me a certificate, and I sat there and they said, well, we have some other awards we're going to give to some individuals. And they said it's from President Obama, and they were calling different people. And I blurred out I want one of those. And I felt a little bad then because they had just given me a certificate from their organization. And everybody started laughing. And about 2 or 3 names after that, they said my name. And I was just totally shocked and happy at the same time.
Oh,
Yes.
wow. I think that, I think a lot of times we do a lot of work. You do a lot of work. Obviously, you really is a pioneer in the radio industry. And sometimes you don't even know if people really grasping you or seeing you the way you want them to see you. So when you get awards and stuff like this, it kind of makes you feel like, okay, something
It's
is
a
going
feel
right,
good.
whatever I'm doing.
It's a feel good moment. And I like giving other people in the industry a feel good moment, whereas we do the induction program. And we also
Okay.
give out President Volunteer Service Awards to individuals in February of each year during Black History Month. And
Okay.
also, right, maybe about 4 hours before we start the induction program, we do award some people before our induction program as well, as we will on October the 7th. And that
Okay.
is headed by Motown retiree Harold Thomas.
Okay, and this is it's an award show on
Yes.
October the 7th. At the airport embassy suite.
Yes, it's a private industry event,
Okay.
and so a lot of people don't know the location because we're trying to keep the traffic down. It's the industry event and it's private.
Okay,
Your
and
family
so
and
you
friends,
also released a book called Family and Friends and what else?
they can come, but
Okay.
we just keeping it at a minimum because this is to highlight the DJs and the promotion people, the people in radio and music who have done a lot for their stations, for their companies.
Okay, gotcha.
It's
Now
not a showcase.
Okay. And you have also, there's a lot of that goes on. You also did release a book called Unselfish Women. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, I'm one of the people that was highlighted in Unselfish Women.
Right.
My goddaughter's best friend released it, and she called me and said, "We're highlighting 100 women across the country and a few international who have done a lot of community service, and we would like you to be one of our individuals that we highlight." So they interviewed me, put my biography in the book and my picture, and we would have had an event to show more celebration of it, but COVID happened, and so it didn't go any further. But I do have my copy of that book and got to know quite a few courageous women that are listed in that book.
Got you. That's pretty awesome. I think that I need to meet more stuff like that because, women, y'all go through a lot and y'all have a lot of history. It's a lot of history that, that women have grown through and went through. And I know going through this whole phase of radio, especially during the time where it's a male dominant industry, how was that for you? Because, you are now second vice president, how was that for you to achieve these accolades, knowing that this is a male dominant industry?
Okay. Before I answer that, I want to say this, that she's now working on the Unselfish Men book. So
okay. Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's going to be nice.
That's going to be nice. 100 men.
100 men. All right. I'm going to look for that.
Okay. To answer your question. I'm sorry. I went into the 100 men. I forgot. What was the question?
It was, you being second vice president.
Oh, okay.
And at this male dominant industry, how does it feel and what kind of journey did you have to go through to get to where you are? Because, I'm
Okay,
sure
I got you. Are you familiar with the YBPC?
No, I'm not.
Okay. At one time, there was an organization called YBPC, which stood for Young Black Programmers Coalition. And
Okay.
it was where radio programmers and the music industry could get together and work on ideas or whatever they wanted to do for the stations and their music industry, bringing in stars to perform in front of radio executives and promoters and all. And also they gave out scholarship awards annually at their conference. Well, these people have passed on or they are retired. And as they started aging, they changed the name to NBPC for the National Black Programmers Coalition. Now, you had to be in radio in order to be an officer. And I was working in technology at AT&T in engineering. So I wanted to do something and they said, well, you're not working in radio. So I joined the scholarship committee. And they let me join the scholarship committee. I wasn't interested in being an officer at that time. And a gentleman by the name of Gene Burleson, who was a retired executive at RCA Records, became my mentor. And Gene was the one that started introducing me to a lot of people locally and regionally. And I stuck with the NBPC until we closed it down in 2014. And we started the National Black Radio Hall of Fame chapters. So that's how I got into it, was being at all of the NBPCs, meeting everyone. Now, everybody, after a while, realized I was not trying to get their job and that I was really a historian. So then they accepted me. I mean, it really did go that way.
They got scared. No, now being why? What is it about being a historian in radio? Because when you vice president, you have obviously been around since learning everything since the beginning, since they started. Black people getting into radio heavily. What is it that made you want to be a historian behind it? Is it the fascination of it? Is it, how you just love to see, you just grew up in it and have the knowledge behind being a historian?
Well, I grew up in it, but in 9th grade, I started writing poetry.
Right.
And that continued on. I wrote my high school class song to the tune of Bridge Over Troubled Water. And of course, they still play that song today when we have reunions. I do like radio, but I like history better. And to tell radio history, because there are a few other people out there that are radio historians, but I am the only female African-American radio historian. There is a Caucasian professor that I keep in touch with who does radio history, but she does encompass everyone. She had some errors in some of her research, and that's how we became friends with each other. She found my website, and when I gave her the facts of what she needed, she was very, very pleased that she was getting that information. And so I met her. 2 other people, I'm not sure whether both of them have passed on. I do know one has, and they wrote some books and they had wrong information about my uncle's career in it. And so I did contact them and let them know, but they never did do a rewrite. There's a guy out of New York, I did explain to him as well. So there was a lot of misinformation, and because in some cases, because the people had passed on, individuals were taking credit for things that they had done. They couldn't take the credit for my uncle because he has a street named after him in Jacksonville, Florida. He was the first Black in the South to have a syndicated television show on CBS. So they couldn't touch his, but they did try in some cases. And then I corrected them and let them know. Jack the Rapper's information was twisted at one point, and I let people know that's not true. That's not what that was about. You know, Jack the Rapper was not a rapper. He started with Jack the Rapper.
That's funny because people did.
Yeah, and one convention got swarmed with rappers because they thought they were coming to a rappers convention. No, you're coming to the family affair by Jack the Rapper. But he invited all families, so he let them come on in, you know, but it was just a little funny that they thought it was about them.
That is fun because I remember.
Uh-huh.
I remember when I first heard about Jack the Rapper, I honestly thought the same thing when I first heard.
Yes.
So that's funny that you said that people showed up thinking it was about a rap convention. That's hilarious. Now, after everything,
Tupac and his whole crew was there.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow. After everything that you do, you still manage to do poetry. You recently did a book called Reflective Poems of My Soul.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
In high school and college, I wrote poetry. At Bethune-Cookman, the first institution I attended, I was awarded as the best rhyme poet on campus. And there's a funny story behind that. I didn't think I was going to win because there was this guy that was a friend of mine that he was much better, to be honest, with the unrhymed poetry. But I wanted to be an unrhymed poet. I didn't want to be the rhyme poet. And I wanted him to be the rhyme poet. And so I said, I'm not going to win because he's going to win. So I stayed in my room and took a nap. But you had to hide in your closet and not let them know you were not coming to the function on campus. So I hid in my closet until everything got quiet because I was really, really tired that day. And I woke up, I could hear the people coming out of the building, and I walked out to go get me a hamburger, and everybody went, "They called your name, you won." And I was like, "I won what? Best rhyme poet." And I was like, "Well, what do you get?" They said, "You got $10. Well, in 1972, $10.
Oh, $10 was a lot.
I ran and got my $10. But I never would tell them I was in the room sleep. I just said I missed it. But to answer your question, yes, I did that with poetry. I wrote several poems, and what they had me to do at Bethune-Cookman was to travel with the dance group. They had a dance group that would perform to Shaft, Isaac Hayes Shaft, and some other music. But the Shaft portion was really, really awesome, the way this girl, Renee, did it. And they would go to the military bases in Florida and perform. And the dance instructor approached me after one program when I did a poem, and she said, "I want you to come and do your original poetry on the military bases." And I was like, "Huh?" And she said, "Well, the girls have to change outfits, and we have nothing going on while they're changing. And you can do a poem while they're changing." So I did that for quite a while. And it was enjoyable. But what I liked about the most biggest part of it was we got a free dinner, and being in college, that was good. Like, we got steak, mashed potatoes. I mean, they were eating good on the military base. Yeah. So I did that. I wrote a few poems for AT&T, had a engineering magazine, and I would write little stories and things like that in it. So I always stuck with my writing on the side as a journalism minor.
How can people get the book?
Which one?
Your poetry book.
The poetry book is on Amazon.
Okay.
They're both on Amazon. Black Radio Winner Takes All is on Amazon, and my poetry book.
Okay. Well, this is just amazing, all the stuff, all the work that you do, and you still be able to write poetry. It seems
That
like you
comes
just,
to me. That comes to me second nature. If you
yeah,
tell me that someone passed and you want a poem written about them, and you give me a few snippets about the person, my gift is I can write a poem on them. And that's just a
really,
gift I got from God.
really.
Yeah. One time I
So,
did it quite a bit for several funeral homes. And I didn't charge. I just went and did the poem for the family. But then I got burnt out on that. That got to be kind of over the top to do all the time. Yeah.
right.
And I have also worked on several other people's books as a ghostwriter.
Gotcha.
And my good friend was Tasha Houston. She was one of the original James Brown dancers.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate you for everything that you've done for radio. You are just an amazing woman, and I love your stories. You just as a refresher, let everybody also know again about the award show and what it entails.
The award show is based upon nominations and ballot elections. And what happened is that we had about, maybe 150 submissions. We had a lot. And Hurricane Dave is the one who worked on that. I gave him that work to do. Boy, did I get him busy. And we started getting submissions from all across the country of put this person in the Hall of Fame, put this person. Well, we can't put everybody the same year. You want no need to have more, So we ended up with 53. And so we are awarding 53 individuals as inductees into the National Black Radio Hall of Fame in Atlanta, and they're coming in from across the country. They will receive a certificate, they will receive a medallion, and they will receive a proclamation.
What are some of the and what are some of the qualifications that a person has to have to be inducted into the Hall of Fame?
Well, they have to be vetted. And if they have done, we can have somebody who's young, like we have Dr. Rashad Ritchie, who last year was our youngest one to be inducted. But it's the things that you do for the community. It's the things that you do in radio and how your outreach that gets reported to us. And we do vet it. And if you are voted on and you win the ballot, then that's it. You're in.
Okay.
You got to be a good career person. It's not by age. It's by what you do. Now, if you've been in it 2 years, there's some questions on that. We might have to just do something else with people. You know what I mean? But
right.
But yes, they have to have a good biography, and we vet it to make sure that it's not just somebody writing something up and saying they worked at a certain station for X amount of years and did this and that in the community.
Yeah, it's a lot going on in radio. Because do you think radio has gotten a lot stricter in being open to the public, or because some people have, I guess they can do podcasts and do whatever they want, but in radio, it's a little more strict. Am I correct in saying that?
It is strict. It's strict, but it got to be strict. TV strict. Yeah. If you go and let things go too loose, then you go down the drain. Yeah. So you have to be strict in regards to talent, strict in regards to who you put in there with what background they have. Okay. Everybody can come into radio just because they have a good voice and want to come into radio.
Yeah, that's
why we do Talented Men of Radio is one of our award divisions, and Talented Men of Radio. So we have Talented Men of Radio and Talented Women of Radio. We give 3 people inductions into that each year.
Oh, wow. So y'all definitely do your research, and these people are reported to you, or do y'all go out and look for them? You said they were reported to you, right?
we go through our membership base as far as communicating, and we also use social media. And we let individuals know we're taking nominations now. Like in December, we will start taking nominations again for next year. Then in January, at the end of January, they will be told, okay, all nominations are closed. We got ballots out. You have until a certain date to have your ballot in.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, that sounds great. I want to thank you for
I'm going to tell you something that happened this year. We had one category where there was a tie. And there's an electronic application that you can use, that you can put the names in, and you spin it, and it's a tiebreaker.
Okay.
And so that particular person, I'm not going to name them, but one person won and one person didn't because it was a tie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But they don't know that this happened. You just
No, we don't.
Right. Wow.
But that means everybody who got nominated this year, if you get nominated again, you'll go back up for the ballot vote.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
you're not X'd out the next year if you didn't make it this year.
Right. Yeah. That's what I was just about to say. Right. So they they still got a chance. Then if they didn't win this year, they can win next year.
Yes. Yes.
Now once you win, you can't win again, of course, right?
Right. You're inducted. It goes into the database. We're creating a national database with the history of people who worked in radio from beginning to present day radio. And we're also putting in the promoters and some of the music industry people that work indirectly with radio. That database will be put in all museums. That's a project we're working on. Right now, we're only going to have 2 museums, but there is another chapter that's trying to get a museum started as well. The National Museum will host everything, and all of the inductees' names will be at the National Museum. So last year and the year before, they're already at the National Museum in St. Louis.
Okay.
We got our own thing.
Is it that many Black radio personalities in the country? It's thousands of them, huh?
Well,
because
it's
we only
thousands
hear
of
about
them,
so many.
But this is not just the personalities.
Right.
Yeah.
So this
we
is more than what
record pools are included in this induction program. A person who's a known artist that's done great community outreach, they get nominated and then, voted on, and then they get the artist who's reached out to the community the most. For example, Tony Terry. We did Tony Terry in 2021 because Tony would see people just out and about walking in one case, and it was a couple that had just gotten married. And he went over and he sang their wedding vows to them. Didn't charge them anything. So people doing things like that, that's artists, and they do it unselfishly.
Yeah. Tony is a good guy. I did a stage play with him. He does theater, so great guy. Well, I want to thank you for your time. I know you have done a lot. You are an amazing woman. Thank you for everything you've done for radio. I definitely would love to see this award show myself. But
well, are you available October the 7th?
I think I am available
the red
October
carpet
the 7th.
Is at 5:00. The program starts at 6:30 on the dot. Larry Steele out of Daytona Beach at Bethune-Cookman is over the run of the show.
Nice.
So
Okay.
Larry has had several Zoom calls with us, and he's making sure that everything goes on point. It's
like
going to be
that.
a nice industry gathering. After 5, dinner, attire.
Okay. After 5 dinner, I'll tell you. Okay. I like
We'll
it. I
have a
like it.
red carpet walk, and we will have a step and repeat where you can take pictures. We have professional photographers who will be coming in, and we will be filming it as well. So later we will put it on YouTube, but for now, because we are expecting everyone to show up, we're not going to let it play live.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So what's next for you after everything you've done?
Mm-hmm.
What's next for you? What's on your to-do list, your goal?
My goal is to help Bernie Hayes. Bernie Hayes, who's the CEO of the National Black Radio Hall of Fame and president, is 83 years old. He may have had a birthday. He might be 84 now. But you wouldn't know it when you see him. He's spry, busy as heck. My goal is to help Bernie make this thing bigger.
Okay.
Yes. So they just moved the National Black Radio Hall of Fame headquarters in St. Louis from a smaller facility on campus, which is Harris Stowe State University. And they have given them a 3-story building with the jazz division. So we got a bigger facility now for the Hall of Fame. And so Bernie's been moving in and everything, setting up everything that he had over in the smaller space. So the National Black Radio Hall of Fame is doing very well on a national level. And we need to make sure that the new chapters that want to come in can do just as well as the Atlanta chapter. The state of Virginia representative has been calling me all week off and on, and they want to start a chapter in Richmond. We just started one in the East Coast, which is called East Coast Chapters until we get everybody in place. And Stephen Rim is over that. So that comprises of New Jersey, New York. He's using Philadelphia and Connecticut.
Oh, nice. So it doesn't even end here. You're opening other chapters in other different states.
Yes. If you go to the website, you can see what chapters we have. And in Atlanta, we started something that we want the other chapters to branch out to as well. It's called the Kids Drop the Mic program. And Casual Cal is the one who came up with that idea. And we pick children from debate clubs at local high schools, and they compete against each other annually.
Oh, I bet that would be interesting to watch.
Yes. And the young lady that won right before the pandemic, we're getting ready to beef it back up again. But the young lady that won right before the pandemic, that was her first time in a debate.
Really?
Yes. And the judges were awed. We were all awed about her. But we reach out to the kids. We have to do what we have to do for the kids.
Absolutely. I think, the kids are the next generation of what we're doing now. So, we gotta get them in early.
Yes.
And vet them early. Thank you for your time on WCEG the Hollywood of the South.
Okay, Hollywood of the
South. How can people reach you if they want to contact you on social media?
They want to contact me on social media. They can come to Marsha Washington George on my Facebook page, and I will respond.
Okay, great. And before we go, if you had one bit of advice or just a tip or a little bit of advice you want to give somebody who is listening about pursuing radio, whether it's male or female, what would you tell them?
I would tell them what a good friend of mine who's passed on told me. Each one teach one, each one reach one. And that was Mitch Faulkner. So they go out and they learn, and the person they're learning from they give back to them.
Right. How important is it, before I go, because I was about to let you go, but I had this question just came to mind. How important is it? Because radio is not just about getting on a mic and talking. How important is it to be active in your community?
I'm going to use an experience from when I was a child, because when certain things happen and you're a child, you take it with you, and you might groom it a different way, but you do use it. When I was a child, we had a radio station that would come in our neighborhood, and they would go to other Black neighborhoods. And every Friday, they gave you a coupon at the grocery store. And you took that coupon and you met that DJ from the radio station in the parking lot next to, which wasn't a big parking lot, but they would have a good little crowd around, and they would pull out the number, and whoever number they pulled out, you won a bag of free groceries. And I think we won 1 or 2 times. They pulled your ticket out, and 2 or 3 people got free bags of groceries. Well, that comes with community service in mind.
Right.
And that's community service that I saw as a child. Even though that DJ might have been getting paid by the grocery store to promote the grocery store, he also was promoting community service.
Right.
And those types of things you take with you, and you create something yourself as an adult.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Because I think a lot of people, think radio, you just get on there, you talk about different things, subjects, and, but radio is more than that. We get involved in the community, we go out, we talk, we teach. I know for myself, I go to schools, I talk to kids in schools.
Yes.
I do a lot of different things, and I run a film company as well. So,
okay.
Between the film company and radio, it all goes hand in hand. So,
yes.
It's easier to navigate and get involved with the community, especially certain subjects as domestic violence and human trafficking and,
yes.
making people aware. I think when you have a radio show, you're able to connect with people. Those subjects and being involved in the community become very important.
Yes, when I was in high school, they would have, even though a lot of people didn't have a car for students, the radio station would give you a sticker to put on your car. And they would say, we're playing song so-and-so and so, Al Green. And the first student that comes to the station with the new Stanton High School sticker will win James Brown new album. And you got down there and you won James Brown new album, but you had to have a car that had the sticker on it when you got there.
Right. That was a good idea. I like that.
Yeah, and I've told several people this story, wanting somebody in radio to pick up on that. I did know that Dr. Rashad Ritchie is putting stickers on cars now. And I said, see, that's what they need. They need to see it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's really important that people see, your network and want to connect with your network. And it's important to put out good messages and things that people can relate to, when it comes to radio. It's a lot out here, a lot happening in the government. Like I just did the PSA before we started, to help our people, make sure, because Medicaid is definitely going to affect our community, hugely. And the government is ready to shut it down if they don't go and re-register. So, somebody's got to get the word out there.
Listen. They need to listen.
Right.
It used to be, if you heard it on the radio, it's true.
Yep.
So they're hearing it on the radio. But one other thing I wanted to tell you that I did in college was I named the radio station there, and they still honor me for that. And they had just started the station my freshman year at Bethune-Cookman. And they said, we want somebody to name what WBCC stands for. And you will win a Curtis Mayfield album and Rare Earth. And I wanted both of those albums because I wasn't in my hometown to get my records from my uncle anymore. And I was one of the few people who had a record player in my room anyway. So I've turned in Wonderful Black Challenging Change. And I said, oh, they're going to think this is too corny. I'm not going to win. And I was walking out the dorm one night, and the DJs from the station walked up and said, you won. I said, I did. I said, give me my albums.
Wow. So you're the one who named the radio station.
Wonderful Black Challenging Change.
Look at that. So you're a legend at Bethune College.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard Larry Steele said they had a awards program recently, and they mentioned me.
Really?
I said, wow, thank you.
And it's been a while since you've been out of Bethune.
Well,
right?
We won't talk about the wow. It was back when we had 19 in front of the date, okay?
Hey, well, look, black don't crack, so hey. Well, thank you for coming on the show. I truly appreciate your time. This has been a great interview.
Email me, and I'll give you the information for on the 7th, okay?
Okay, I will. I'll email you. Thank you. And this is Wardell Richardson on WCEG Hollywood of the South with the lovely Marsha Washington George, the radio lady. But before we go, I just want to remind everybody one last time, we talked about it on the show, and I said it before the show. Make sure you go and re-register for Medicaid. If you have Medicaid, make sure you go and get that done ASAP, because they will be shutting your Medicaid off, and they're going to probably send a email or something out, maybe 2 weeks or something before they shut it down. But we want to let everyone know ahead of time. Go and get it done now, and you won't have to worry about it during that time. There are a couple of sites you can go to. staycovered.ga.gov is one you can go to, and getaway.ga.gov is another one. You can go on either one of those sites and re-register for your Medicaid. That's staycovered, staycovered.ga.gov, staycovered.georgia.gov, and getaway.ga.gov, getaway.ga.gov, G-O-V. You got till April of 2024 to get this done, ladies and gentlemen. And also make sure you register to vote for your local elections in November. It is very important that we keep our eyes open in the community and know what your laws are for that community. Laws are changing every day, every day. When you see those national stuff going on TV and on the news, and they talking about all these different things, they got you focused on that while they changing laws. Make sure you focus on what's happening around you, in your town, in your city. It is very, very important. On that note, this is Wardell Richardson again, signing out on WCEG Wood.